Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today I'm in West London with an absolutely amazing, inspirational lady, a talent that is beyond all realms, and I'm so honoured to be here today. I'd like to introduce you all to my guest, Manika Kaur.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to interview you. It's not every day I get to sit with such a wonderful inspiration, not just to women, but to mankind generally. You have been an absolute star and so connected and so humble in all that you do, which just brings me to, so where did your journey start?
Where did my journey start? I think when I was young and I was growing up in the family that I grew up in with my parents and with my family, it started with my mom, with my parents. They have been such a big inspiration in everything I do and the source of strength in my life. Growing up, my parents did and were involved and are still involved in many different types of sevas. Honestly, the little I do, it's literally like a little ant, you know, trying to push to create some little change. But it's nothing compared to what so many people are doing and are involved in. I grew up in a very unique way.
Okay.
So I grew up in a house where my parents did Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji Seva.
Oh, wow.
So my dad would bring Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji from the Golden Temple, from Harmandir Sahib, where our family had permission to do this seva, and bring it to our house in Melbourne. And we would have 20 Guru Granth Sahib Jis, up to 200 Guru Granth Sahib Jis in our house at one time.
Fabulous.
And as children, we would spend our time, our weekends, changing the rumalas and cleaning each Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And then we had a very special room, a sukhasan room, with these beautiful cupboards and the chandovas, chor sahib, pillows, everything for each Guru Granth Sahib Ji.
Wow,
And
it sounds amazing.
yeah, well, it was a very interesting way to spend our weekends. And then as a family, we would do Guru Granth Sahib Ji Seva. So we would take Guru Granth Sahib Ji from home to home and do the opening Prakash ceremony of that Guru Granth Sahib Ji from house to house. And that's how we started singing Kirtan as well. We would just sing Kirtan from house to house, and slowly we kind of got more confident, we got better, and it was,
wow.
Till today, my family's been doing this seva. It started on my 14th birthday. The first 20 Guru Granth Sahib Jis came to our house when I was 14. And now it's over 20 years of the seva for my family.
It's amazing that it connected with your birthday, because I have heard you say in the past that then the land in Dubai was given by the Sheikh for the Gurdwara, and again it was on your birthday. Do you think there's a pattern there?
No, I think I grew up basically going to Gurdwara a lot and being involved in Seva and Kirtan a lot. And when I got engaged, and I had an arranged situation, kind of marriage. So when I got engaged to my husband, and he was living in Dubai, and I heard that there's no Gurdwara, I was like, how will I live there? I went straight to Babaji's room. There were like 50 Guru Granth Sahib Jis in there. I was like, how am I supposed to live where there's no Gurdwara? The way I grew up, how am I going to manage and fit in and find somewhere
to go to?
Yeah. And I prayed for it. I don't take it's definitely hundreds, thousands of people prayed for it. It was just amazing that we got married in May 2016, and then in July, on my birthday, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum actually signed permission and donated the land to the community. And it was just, I was in Amritsar at that time for my birthday, which I go to Amritsar every year pretty much for my birthday.
Oh, fantastic.
And it was just the best thing that could happen on my birthday.
Sounds like God's given you a lot of great birthday presents.
I'm a very, I'm very grateful.
You're so sort of, you're a star in your own right, yet you're so humble. It's amazing to meet someone like you. Where does that humility come from?
It's funny to have someone call me a star. I think for me, this really awkward moment happened. I was actually in Bangkok, in Thailand, in the Gurdwara. And this woman started screaming my name. And I turned around and I stopped and I was, oh, Sat Sri Akal ji, auntie, you know. And her daughter was standing there, and the mom was talking like, oh, my daughter sings Kirtan, my daughter loves your Kirtan. And I was talking to the daughter like, oh, that's great. I gave her a big hug and I was like, what shabads do you enjoy? And the daughter was just, she wasn't talking, she wasn't speaking. She was just standing there.
Awestruck.
And like my mom was right beside me and my brother as well. And she was just standing there and her mouth was kind of open. And then after 5 minutes, she finally said, like,
is that you?
I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm standing with Manika. And I was looking at her going, what is she talking about? And then after another 5-10 minutes of conversation, we had to head off. So we kind of walked away and my brother goes, what just happened? And my mom was like, what was that? And I was like, I have no idea. And 10 minutes later, my brother goes, I think she was awestruck.
Yes.
And I was like, you think? And he was, so it's, you know, kind of having people recognize you and it's happening more and more and wanting to take photos with you and looking at you as some sort of inspirational figure is new to me. And every time it's a surprise, I promise you, every time someone says something, I'm just like, really?
Well, you are though. I mean, I've been listening to your music and I'll have it on in the back in my office and it's just so soul soothing. It takes the stress away, that the day just kind of like, okay, I can do this. You know, there could be 50 things going on in my mind, but it connects to the soul. And I think that's the beauty of your music and the fact that you've got that East-West fusion, which is very daring. And I admire you and I think, great, you've done a fantastic job. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if daring is the way I would describe it, because the Kirtan that comes, I can't really even take credit. I feel like more like a channel. It's like something that pushes that sound and creates that direction. I do remember when I released my first album with Sukhbir, that album was raising money for building the Gurdwara in Dubai, and that album, it raised over 1 million dirhams. It was genuinely very appreciated. And everybody who worked on the album did everything free. So that album was a free album that ended up being a big contribution towards the Gurdwara. But I actually received some messages from people, very few. Most were wonderful messages, and a lot from parents whose kids were listening to Kirtan for the first time because of the sound in this album. And a lot of that is because of someone working with someone like Sukhbir.
Yes.
But I remember someone actually writing to me something it was very strongly worded.
Sure. And
it was, how could you record a Kirtan album using all these instruments like Spanish guitar? It's against Rehet Maryada to use anything other than Vaja and Tabla. So I actually wrote back to this person and I was like, my dear brother, it was
yes.
The harmonium was invented in the 1700s by a Frenchman, Alexandre Douvain.
Wow.
It was brought to India and it became popular and widely used because it was portable and affordable. It wasn't used by our gurus.
No, it didn't
nor
exist.
the tabla.
No.
It is a jodi. It wasn't a tabla. The tabla came much later. It is a version of the jodi, but it wasn't a tabla. And I said, please, don't judge me. Join me. Last year I had my concert and we had more sponsors than we needed, which was really touching. With the extra sponsorship money, we actually started building homes for families that live in awful conditions in Punjab. what I love about Kirtan for Causes is it's not about one person. It's not that one ant. It involves everybody.
Of course.
Every time you download the Shabad or pick up an album and buy it or share it, you're actually unknowingly supporting this work and this cause. It's a collective seva. It's not about one person. It's not about me. It's everybody coming together to make the change that needs to happen in Punjab in order to save Punjab.
Yes.
Because the situation there is so dire, so desperate, the drug problem, the poverty, the suicides, the alcohol addiction. They're going to be, if we don't do something now, the next generation of Sikhs coming out of Punjab are going to be addicts.
Yes.
If we don't take action, if we choose to turn a blind eye and do nothing, we are basically signing off on the death of Sikhi.
We all need to take social responsibility.
Social impact, it's important. It should be, and I think, anyways, our gurus made it a necessity. Our gurus said that Seva has to be a part of every Sikh person's life.
Absolutely.
So everybody should get involved in any way possible, but nothing is too small. Then I always remember this Shabad, this story my dad used to tell me about Guru Gobind Singh Ji.
Hanji.
I think this was after the Battle of Chamkaur.
Okay.
And he was in a forest, I forget the name, I forget the name.
My history isn't that great,
No,
I'm afraid.
I'm terrible with the names, but he had just lost his 2 older sons.
Right.
And he basically, at the top of this kind of hill, he sat down and collapsed from being tired. And it was a very cold night. And he laid down on that floor and rested his head on a rock. And he looked up at the sky and he said, Hal muri data kehna, mitr pyare nu. Hal muri da kehna. And when you look at the meaning of that Shabad, this is, he's our guru, but he's just lost his 2 older sons. And he's got no bed and nowhere to rest except in this place. And at that moment he sang that Shabad, and the meaning of the Shabad is so beautiful. It's like, oh my beloved, a rich blanket has no value. To be forsaken by you has no value. Even though I'm here alone in this moment, I'm not alone because I have you. I'm not unloved because you love me. To have so much loss in that moment and yet have so much love in that moment and so much faith, and to say those words, that is what I want to carry. That is my ardas, that may I have that faith, that love, and then carry that love to everyone I meet instead of anger. So in any situation, I try to remember this Shabad, and that moment, I'm a mother, that moment that Guru Gobind Singh Ji lived through.
Yes.
And how he handled it. I think if younger people could learn more about our history and understand that Sikhi is, everything is Sikhi, comes back to love of Guru, of Bani, of God. And there's so much, it's so open. There's no real rules the way we create rules, the way we have a lot more rigidity. That wasn't really there. It is your personal journey.
It is, very much so.
You take bath in the true shrine existing within yourself. That's the true Ishnan, not the outward Ishnan that we do. If you do that outward Ishnan and yet you judge other people, you try to control how people worship and pray and meditate, you try to control how people should view Bani and understand Bani, then you've not really taken Ishnan or understood the Bani.
That is so deep, and that's the sort of message we need to relay to the world so that our young people don't falter and sort of stray away from Sikhism. I, like yourself, believe it's your personal journey. You don't need, as a bachola, as I call it, you don't need anybody between you and God. Your dialogue should be with God directly.
I've been praying since I'm little because of the parents and the family and that background. But you do get to a certain age where it becomes a choice. No one can make you pray anymore. When you're young, your parents are like, do your part, this is why, you know, and try and convince you and get you to pray. And you pray somewhat out of obligation, somewhat out of listening to what your parents are telling you to do and wanting to be obedient or good. And maybe some of it is faith. But there is a certain point where it is 100% your decision. And I've done Panjbani, I've done malas, I've done many different types of prayers. But when I started doing 5 Japji Sahib, and I know that sounds weird and people ask me, why do you do 5 Japji Sahib?
I was going to say that.
I shall tell you. When I started doing 5 Japji Sahib, that's when I noticed the biggest difference within myself.
Wow.
From someone who would do Panjbani, Sukhmani Sahib, Mool Mantar Mala, Shantapai Mala, Sehj Path reading, like just many different parts, and try and do everything in different combinations of everything just to constantly feel like I'm connecting. But actually when I started doing 5 Japji Sahib, that's when I really felt something shift. And that, I think I started 5 Japji Sahib just a few years ago.
Okay.
And I actually have a lot of friends who've started doing it, and even people I've never met, but I'm in touch with through social media, who've emailed me about problems or messaged me about things that they're going through. And I've just told them, listen, I'm not in your situation, but this is the thing that made a big difference in my life. Try it. And I have letters back saying, and messages back saying how much it's changed their life. So someone once asked me, why 5? So I thought about it for a second, and I said, I can't be sure, but my kind of feeling, and it's a humble, small feeling, I don't know better than anybody else, is 1 for Kam, 1 for Krodh, 1 for Lobh, 1 for Moh, 1 for Ahankar.
Goodness.
The minute you finish 5, you feel like nothing is in your way.
The bunch jaw have disappeared.
That's what it feels like, and you feel like your true self. And anybody who wants to start doing 5 Japji Sahib, I strongly recommend it. Make prashad, do ardas, take permission, sit down, do 5. At least for 40 days, minimum. And see after 13 days, see how you feel. And after 40 days, stop. Stop for 13 days and see how you feel. That's when you'll know the difference.
I was going to say, by that time, hopefully it's a habit for life. And it's something you'd carry with you forever.
Well, I think, you know, it's funny, but praying is the most difficult thing to do in this world. Because if it was easy, everyone would be a saint. It is the most difficult thing to sit down and be in the moment and connect and actually pray is hard for everyone.
It is, because
it's hard for me. It's really hard for me. I really have to be like, come on, Manika, do your part.
You can do that.
Sit down, start. And the thing is, once you start though and you connect into it, then you can, you know, it's kind of like when you have to go to the gym and exercise. You just don't want to do it. But once you get into the gym and you start working out, it feels good and you just can keep going. Yeah.
And then you feel so much better afterwards that you did do it and you've completed it and you've achieved your goal.
Yes, exactly.
The power of ardas. You keep saying that you kept going back to your guru, back to Babaji's room and saying, what is the purpose of my life? Where do I go? Where's my direction? That is
an ardas, honestly, that till today, it's something I ask for. Like, don't let me live. I want my life to mean something. I ask God for that. Not that I'm saying that a certain life means something more than something else. It's just to me personally, for me personally, I want to be involved in Seva in my life. Because that's what brings me happiness. And kind of coming together with lots of different people and working on these projects, it lights up my life. A little corny, but it's the truth.
Well, it does, because as I say, you get to do your Seva, your Simran, you're connecting with God, and everything Guru Nanak Dev Ji would want is manifested right here.
That's much too high a praise for anyone, and I think that we should all work at not viewing anyone in kind of too much of a saintly way, or putting them too high up. We're all equal. We're all on the journey that the Guru has set for us. We're all capable of doing more, praying more, doing more good, and inspiring one another to do it. And, you know, often you see people talking about, this is my Guru, that is my Guru, this is my Guru, that, and bowing and touching Peri Pona, putting their head down to this person, that person. I don't know, I just feel like we're all children of God and we're all equal, and someone might have knowledge, and going to that person and gaining from the knowledge that they share with you is a wonderful thing, but don't view them as anything more than that. Because we're all flawed.
We are. We are.
And I think, you know, it allows people to just be people and not feel like they have to live up to some image. Honestly, I'm just figuring things out as I go along as well. And I look for inspiration from a lot of other people, including my parents, who are a big inspiration for me. But I find knowledge and wisdom from everyone, including my 5-year-old son.
Sometimes that's the best inspiration, though, is it not?
Absolutely. They are so full of love and innocence, and it just reminds you this is what you want to carry in the world.
That's in the purest of form, isn't it? The child.
Exactly.
We've seen a different side to you. I mean, you're a parent. One of the shabads you also sing on that particular album is Puta Mata Ki Assis. So was this album created after your son was born?
Yes. In fact, Puta Mata Ki Assis was the first ever shabad that was sung in the Dubai Gurdwara. I was the first ever person to sing in the Dubai Gurdwara when it opened.
Oh, what an honor.
And it opened on my son's first birthday.
Fabulous.
It was supposed to open in time for New Year's, but something was blocking it and paperwork wasn't getting through. And I remember wanting to have a new shabad to sing that day. And 2 weeks before my son's birthday, I composed the shabad and I recorded it and did everything within 2 weeks. I don't know how it happened. And again, it wasn't me. Something was just making this happen. And to sing it on his first birthday in the Gurdwara, it's like this unforgettable moment. I just feel it was like this moment where I felt so strongly that the Guru was with me. And I think that's also because when I delivered him, I went through a very difficult time, and I almost died after delivery. And I was sick for about 1.5 years afterwards. So every day was like just coping. It wasn't like living, it was like just coping. Just getting through to the next day, just coping.
Ticking over.
And for a really long period of time, to just cope, to just get past this thing, the next thing. So having that moment was pretty amazing. And then after that, we went to Harmandir Sahib for his birthday. And I remember on the last day, I was so unwell and I was so tired, and we were flying that day, and I wasn't going to go that morning and then go to the airport. I wasn't going to go to the Golden Temple. And my husband was like, "You're so tired, you have an awful cold, just sleep, it's okay. I'll take Siraj, I'll go. You've been coming every day, just sleep today and go straight to the airport." So I thought, okay, he said this to me at night before we slept. And we go off to sleep, and we were supposed to go early morning, like 5 in the morning, to make our flight. We'd have to go at 5, and then. So I dozed off, and around 5 o'clock I hear my husband leave the room, and I hear a voice say to me, "Get up, go, Manika." So I sat up, and I was like, oh no, I've probably missed the car, how will I get there? But I didn't care, I just got ready in like 10 minutes. You don't have to look nice, it's okay. Just showered and got ready in 10 minutes, and I went down, and there he was. And the car that was supposed to pick them up was late. So I made it into the car, and he was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I'm just meant to come today." And we reach Harmandir Sahib, we go inside, we matha tek, we sit down, and the hukamnama was Mangana.
Oh, back down to
The
our favourite
hukamnama
Shabad.
that day. And the minute I heard Mangana, I knew why I was told to come. So I just feel like when you're quiet and when you're communicating, you hear voices just tell you, you need to do this, and guides you.
I can relate. My Kirtan journey started based on my son and his birthday, and I sat in the Sangat thinking, God, you've given me everything. Then why don't I have the gift of Kirtan? Just one Shabad, please, just one. Exactly a week later, same Sangat. And all of a sudden, all the Auntie G's are saying, Sukhi Shabad par. No, I can't do that. And then I did. Jat tu mere wal hai ta kya mushamda. Tud sab kich mainu sompiya ja tera banda. Because I realised it wasn't these aunties that I'd been surrounded by for the last 13 years that were at work. It was my guru at work.
Yeah.
He'd answered my prayer. He'd heard my voice. He'd listened to what was in my heart. And I didn't need the Granthi Singh to do my ardas for me. I had a personal dialogue. So I understand where you come from, and you clearly have a very clear line to God, if I can call it that. It's like having that clear connection where you can go and speak to him and you know he's listening, and it's having that belief system.
Everybody has that. They just don't use it.
That's it. They don't know how to tap into it.
Well, I mean, I think that even if you just close your eyes and you just say, God, help, that's it. That's as easy as it is.
Now, your family have been a huge support to you, obviously, as you were growing up and throughout your career and everything you've been doing. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, please?
I think having my family support what I'm doing is such a big part of being able to do it. And I think my mom is my greatest supporter. I think moms are great like that, aren't they? Mm-hmm. My dad, he takes a little bit more time to kind of get it, what I'm doing, because he's very reserved, and his first instinct is to protect his daughter and hide her away. But at the end of the day, he also supports me, and he also knows that he's taught his daughter to pray. And he knows that his daughter is educated and she's praying, so something else is guiding her. So he does kind of let me, do what I also believe in, which is really important to have. And I think more than that, having a very supportive husband, a very supportive partner, that's the key. He doesn't look at me and think, oh, that's my wife and these are her responsibilities. He looks at me and thinks, she's got to be her person and I'm there to support her, and I'm my person and she's there to support me. And because we have this relationship with each other, it's incredible to have someone like that to lean back on. And I think that if more Sikh men, or men in general, were like him, there'd be a lot more successful, strong women who are going after what they want and satisfied. And you have to remember, these are the women that are having the kids and raising the kids, and the more content they are, the more happiness there is going to be in your home. And the way your children will turn out, your daughters will turn out, they're going to be strong because they're looking at their mothers and they're realizing, look at what my mom's capable of. And your sons are going to have an idea of how they should support and treat women and how to support their wives. And I mean, it's only going to benefit everybody more and more to have these stronger partnerships. So
that is very deep, yet, as again, it's quite a simple fix. it's a state of mind. It's having that understanding that you have to respect each other and allow each other to grow and support each other. And you're very lucky. I mean, I've spoken to your husband. What a hoot. I mean, he's a blast, you know, quite a personality.
My goodness.
So it's great that you've got that support network around you. And it is belief. It's about pushing you forward. Go, it's your dream, go get it. I think that's a great thing to have. And obviously that coupled with Guruji's journey for you, and that power has obviously carried you to the forefront to do what you are doing today.
But everything starts with prayer. If you're praying and you're doing your ardas, then something will guide you. There will be magic in the things that you do. You will find that satisfaction in everything you do. And it's not like we're blind to each other, my husband and I, it's not like we're blind to each other's flaws and we just continuously praise each other. We're each other's critics. But I think doing that from a place of love and there's no judgment, that's what kind of makes us work so well, because we're not judging each other or condemning each other. When we talk to each other, it's really from a place of love and wanting that person to reach their potential. Because, and I always tell my husband this, I said, I'm your soulmate. My job isn't to sit here and tell you, oh, you're so amazing and you're so intelligent and you're so hilarious. Yeah, I will tell you those things too at points. But my job is to show you your true self, to be your mirror, a mirror that shows you the truth about yourself, and to do so with love, without judgment, and without any superiority that I'm better than you in any way. And that's what you're supposed to do for me. And that's how we're going to become stronger, but also better human beings, better people.
Just to touch back on your foresight, that as a strong woman, as a strong mother, then your children benefit from that. And it brings happiness into your home, because everything then flourishes because you're not thwarting anyone. You get rid of the dead wood and everything begins to thrive. You paint a very beautiful picture of flourishing, of enrichment. Based on that, going forward, what do you have planned in the pipeline?
I have 2 albums coming out, so I'm very excited about that. I have this album that I've recorded with Talvin Singh, and we have some amazing musicians. There's this musician that recorded onto the album, Tunde, his name is, and he plays the African harp. And we're just trying to create and develop the sound. Just kind of keep taking it to that next level, where people will listen to the shabads, the new shabads, and feel that release, that like your entire body taking a breath, or kind of sighing, that letting go feeling. So those albums are almost ready. They are very interesting. One of the tracks actually will be having a spiritual rap on it. So we're talking to a few Sikh rappers who have a spiritual side to them. So just kind of keep pushing things forward. And the other album is also going to be released later on in the year. And it's more, I mean, with that album I worked with Jyotsna Sirikant, who is just unbelievably talented. And we have a children's choir actually singing on the album. So it's exciting. It's definitely a new sound. And some of it people would have heard if they attended the concert at Union Chapel. Then some of the new stuff was we actually sang it there.
Now, Union Chapel, a place of Christian worship. How did that feel to be going into a Christian place of worship and singing Guruji's Shabad and bringing Sikhi to life? Not in your conventional Gurdwara, but somewhere different.
Do you know, when I went in to do the sound check, and I'm sitting there on the stage, and next to me is Jyotsna, who is South Indian, and on the other side of me is Giuliano, who is a Palestinian guitarist and just brilliant at what he does. and having even the children's choir, the Dhruv Arts choir, kind of standing there. And all these people coming together. I'm the only Sikh person on the stage in this chapel. Just kind of having all these faiths, different faiths there. And even when the whole crowd was there, we had all different people from all different walks of life. It was so overwhelming. I had to try really hard the entire time not to cry.
Yes.
Because it was such a touching moment to have that, and just to think, thank you. Just thank you, God. I don't even know how to thank you for this, because I don't deserve this. I don't know how I'm here, sitting here in this moment, doing this, singing your Kirtan, but you've brought me here. Thank you. There's no words. This is so hard to explain.
But that goes back to Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message of humanity, mankind. We're all one. We have different faiths, different ways of connecting with God, but at the end of the day, it's all about mankind, humanity, caring, sharing. And you had all that at Union Chapel.
This is why I love Sikhi, though, because of the message. And it's something that will actually set you free if you allow it. Don't fall into the trap of rules and rigidity and allow people to control how you pray, how you feel, how you connect. Sikhi will give you that freedom. If you really try and understand it and connect into it, you'll find the answers and solutions to everything within there.
Funny you say that. It wasn't until I moved to the United States and I came across a lot of white Sikhs that I thought, what is it that they know that I don't know? They've adopted my faith that I was born into. And it was when I started associating with them that I had that deeper knowledge of Sikhi. And it's because now we have the translations, which makes life so much easier and it's more accessible. 30 years ago, that wasn't the case. How do you feel about translations and the way we're moving forward?
If it wasn't for translations, I wouldn't have connected to Sikhi the way I have. But just to go back to something you said when you said that, I was born into this faith. And how is it that, they weren't, and then they've adopted this faith. But I think Sikhi doesn't belong to anybody. And even being born into it, I find that, for me, it's kind of hard to digest because, how do I say, my belief is that Sikhism isn't a religion. It's actually a way of life. It's a path we choose. And our purpose, or our religion, if you want to say that, is humanity, is to serve humanity. So no one can claim it as theirs or say it's not this other person's. Mm-hmm. That person who adopted that path of life is now a Sikh. And just because I'm born a Sikh doesn't make me a Sikh. I have to actually follow the path and the principles, which is truth, Seva, and prayer, to be a Sikh. Just being born a Sikh and looking like a Sikh, I don't really think that makes you a Sikh.
Wow, that's so powerful. In terms of collaborations and moving forward in the future, what have you got planned?
Lots of plans. I'm always planning. I'm kind of like, I'll be on social media and I'll see mm-hmm. someone interesting or something interesting, and I'll just think that, it'd be very interesting to work with that person or take on a project with, these people. Right now I am working on a short video, an animated video on Maharani Jind Kaur, who is a great inspiration to my life, and I think should be a great inspiration to a lot of Sikh women in general, but Sikh women, because she was powerful, she ran a country, she stood up to the British.
She did indeed.
Yes, she did. So And she's actually the first documented Sikh woman in the UK, so I think women here should kind of look to her as an inspiration of how strong and powerful and fearless she was, and use that to realize that that's what we are as Sikh women: strong, powerful, fearless, nirabhav niraver, to live without fear and without hate, to carry love. So I think I hope that this video that I'm creating on her will kind of help people to understand and see that this is a powerful and very respected Sikh woman, and this is someone we can draw inspiration from when we face things in our lives.
You're an inspiration in yourself. How would you relay your message to women out there? And how do you think we can support women out there to send this message of strength, of Guru, and what Guru really has planned for us, and what Guru's true message was?
Guru's true message, I think, is a very personal thing. It's, for each person, it's a different message, and that's totally fine. But I think having maybe a forum where people can express their views and be respected for it, and there's kind of just a very positive and safe place, could be a good idea, and create kind of a network for Sikh women to talk about whatever they want to talk about, whether it's going through a hard time in childbirth or facing different sorts of difficulties. And getting inspired from other women's stories would be a good thing. But the problem that we face is that growing up in Indian culture kind of stops you from being very open or talking about what you're going through. You're supposed to just hold it in and deal with everything that you face. And I think that needs to change, and hopefully younger people will come together and realize that standing together and supporting each other is going to help you and empower you more than trying to climb up to the top on your own.
And going back to that holding it in, once we're holding it in, we're stunting growth. We can't flourish, we can't move forward. So actually it becomes a real negative, and then once we set on that negative cycle, where do we stop? So this is why we need Guruji, the positivity, the light to shine on us. And coming back to the power of Ardas, as you say, you know, you don't do anything without Ardas first, and that's carried you forward and given you that knowledge and that understanding, and you've been able to share that with so many people. Going back to your siblings, you were all musical as youngsters. Yeah. What are they doing now?
Wow, married, kids, traveling, working, so they're kind of in the grind of things. I'm the only one who kind of went down this kind of path. I've always wanted to do this. I just kind of didn't know how, and I didn't even realize that I wanted to do it in the way that it's happening. I think I just kind of took one step. The Charan Charan Guru Ek Panda Jai Chal, right? So I just kind of took that one step, and the rest has just been laid out in a way. So
that's fantastic, because it's your footprints in the sand. It's your path, and the path that obviously Guruji selected for you. In terms of children and your creativity, what do you think we can do to draw our children back into our gurdwaras? What should we have in place?
I think you have to look at who is managing these gurdwaras. Who are the people who are up there talking to these kids? What is their purpose? What is their message? Because if the person who's up there talking is talking to the kids on their level, in the way that kids can understand, that will make a difference. But more than the gurdwaras, everything starts at home. If you have a loving environment, loving parents who teach you about Sikhi through love and not force, that's the first step. Because anything that's forced on you, you end up resenting. Eventually, you will resent it. So don't force things on the young people. Let them get there through your examples and the way you live your life. I think in terms of Gurdwaras, Gurdwaras should have schools for kids. Like you see in churches, they have Sunday schools where kids can go and learn. But those schools should be very interactive and should be fun. And when families do want to go to the Gurdwara, there should be a space where children can go and be safe and maybe color and learn a little bit about Sikhi, but in a fun and interesting way that they connect to, as opposed to maybe sitting there for hours and supposed to be connected and interested in everything that's coming. I mean, even the parents a lot of the times can't understand everything, so how do you expect children to?
In terms of children, your second album, all the proceeds went to help children that are less fortunate. So if you can tell me a little bit more about this charity.
I'm working in Punjab. I think that saving Punjab is the priority for all Sikhs, considering the issues and the problems that are going on there. Mm-hmm. So my belief personally is education is the solution. It's one of the solutions. But for me, my focus is education. I have a young son myself, and there's so many children sitting there and parents can't afford to send them to school, and it's not even very expensive. So I feel like if we can educate the next generation coming out, then they're less likely to be addicted to drugs. Mm-hmm. They have more job opportunities, and they could possibly be the first generation to be able to actually support their families and help their families in the situations that they're in. And for example, I have kids who are now going into university, but one of my girls is out of university, Gurpreet Kaur, and she's actually going to Chandigarh now to do journalism because she's extremely talented, but she's done IT and building websites, and she actually she did a paid internship, and she's like an independent woman, the way that she can manage her own life and afford things for herself. And she's come to the point where she's even supporting her dad to some extent, because her dad is unfortunately an alcoholic. So, you know, we're behind her, and she knows that whatever she wants and whatever she needs, we're there to support her. And she should just keep working and going for her dreams and educating herself.
Very well stated. And how can people get involved? You alluded to the website.
So apart from kind of buying, go to iTunes, look up Manika Kaur, buy tracks, because that goes to that, or you know, follow me on social media. Mm-hmm. I'm on Facebook under Manika Kaur. I'm on Instagram, manika.kaur. I'm on Twitter, Manika Kaur. I'm on YouTube. Follow me, subscribe to my page, because I do post videos and create things that show you how you can get involved and help even in the smallest ways. Kirtan for Causes is actually now a registered charity in the UK, legally done and everything. So we're working on creating a Just Giving page and making it simpler for people who want to just do a one-time donation. But buying a CD already helps, you know, it goes to the kids and makes a difference. And yeah.
That's not a big ask of anybody, really, is it?
No, it doesn't cost much, honestly, and yeah.
So go out, guys, and buy Monika's CD. No, that's fabulous. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.